Welcome back to our channel, where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. We provide you with the exciting news: William seizes control of monarchy from Ailing Charles amid Bombshell Memo on Andrew's exile. It has been reported that the Prince of Wales has taken over the British monarchy from his sick father, King Charles III. This is a major change in the power dynamics of the House of Windsor. Reports say that Prince William made the final move against his uncle Andrew Mountbatten Windsor after a 2-week-long power struggle that has been kept hidden from the public by what critics call a colluding mainstream media. Around 7:00 p.m., the height of this internal conflict happened. The historic news that came out last night was that the person who used to be known as Prince Andrew would lose his royal titles and style, which will force him to leave public life and move out of his long-time home royal lodge. The decision, which makes the king's brother a commoner, is the dramatic end to a 15-year story of scandal that started when he was linked to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Even while Buckingham Palace has said that the decision was the king's own, insiders and independent observers say that it was the Prince of Wales who started the whole thing because he saw his father's seeming weakness and hesitation as a direct threat to the monarchy's stability. This palace coup is said to solve Andrew's present difficulties and set a big example for how to deal with future difficult royals like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. A confidential memo from Buckingham Palace that the independent news site Outspoken got and made public appears to back up these claims. The document, which was meant to be a private briefing for certain media outlets, reveals how things work within the organization and acknowledges the support of the Prince of Wales in the King's decision. It also shows that the palace is trying to change the story, change the order of events, and lessen the effects, notably the worries about the mental health of the York family. With the end of this important decision, the monarchy is at a very important point in its history. People now regard Prince William as the real leader, a modernizer, who wants to make the organization more efficient and free of scandals. Some conservatives are worried that stripping a blood prince's title will speed up the monarchy's decline, even if it was done out of desperation. The decline of a sovereign. A time of trouble. The issue reached its pinnacle 2 weeks ago when an announcement said that Andrew would lose his Duke of York title. People thought this was a shallow solution, a weak compromise that let him preserve his title as His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, and most crucially, his 30-room home royal lodge. People say this was the last straw for Prince William. The Prince of Wales's advisors say that he was upset with the first arrangement because he thought it didn't do enough to repair the damage that Andrew had done to the institution's image. A big problem for King Charles is that his son sees a very different monarchy, said an expert on the royal family. He wants to make things better. He wants to make it less. He wants to do rid of a lot of the chivalry and traditions that Charles has tried to build up. I think there is a big disagreement going on. William and his wife Catherine, the Princess of Wales, are thought to have been the ones who pushed for this last step forward. The notion of living with the disgraced Andrew became too much for them to handle once they moved to Adelaide Cottage on the Windsor estate. Another source added, "I believe that the Prince of Wales, William, and his wife Kate have been the main driving force behind this project. They just didn't want to live next to Andrew." This mental discomfort was linked to a strategic necessity. William knew what the people wanted and how shaky the monarchy's destiny was. He knew that only extraordinary and unprecedented actions would be adequate. He supposedly gave his father an ultimatum saying that the king's weak health and the fact that most of the top courtiers agreed that the Andrew situation put the crown in danger. The result was a surprising remark that made headlines across the world last night. News stations stopped their shows to talk on the shocking news, current breaking news. Prince Andrew is giving up his royal titles and leaving his royal palace. King Charles has taken away his brother's title of prince, kicked him out of Royal Lodge, and basically ended any chance of him being rehabilitated in public, the proclamation said. Buckingham Palace has announced this morning that Prince Andrew will lose his royal prince title. The statement also says that he will have to leave the Royal Lodge. The palace's official statement was clear. His Majesty the King has today begun a formal process to take away Prince Andrew's style, titles, and honors. From then on, he would be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and would live in a less grand house on the Sandringham estate. The last time a British prince lost his title was in 1919 when Ernest Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, lost his princely rank for aiding Germany during World War I. This decision is very important. The explosive memorandum, a secret from the royal family. The release of a secret message from Buckingham Palace to a small number of journalists adds further weight to the possibility of a palace coup. The palace requested that the document not be expressly quoted or shared, but Dan Wilson of Outspoken has completely published it, calling it a ludicrous cover-up of the truth in a new media age. The paper is an example of crisis messaging since it tries to show the king as decisive in the past while still admitting the effect of his successor. The king made these choices because his brother made some very bad judgments. His Majesty is backed by his extended family, including the Prince of Wales. People think that this remark from the palace is an implied admission that William's support was really the main factor. The paper then tries to change the story from the last 2 weeks by saying that a worse outcome was already planned. His Majesty acted quickly in response to recent events. It was expected that a full solution to the interrelated problems would take longer to put into place because of the complexity of the legal and constitutional structure. Yet it was clear that further action was needed. Numerous palace briefings in the last 2 weeks have clearly disproved this claim, showing that Charles had done all he could and was not eager to get Parliament involved in taking away the titles. The report makes clear what the effects will be for people and things. The statement says that the king will keep giving his brother money, but it also says that Andrew is allowed to make his own money, which makes people worry that the unsavory dealings that led to his decline will happen again. The statement makes it clear how hard the situation has been for the family by saying, "It has evidently been a time of heightened media scrutiny and considerable pressure on individuals. Private factors, including welfare, have been very important in all family decisions. It is important to recognize that everyone in the family has to be taken care of. This has been seen as an admission of the big effect on Andrew's mental health, as well as that of his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson and their 2 daughters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. William King in all but name." Many royal watchers now believe that Prince William is the real power behind the throne because of what has happened. Tom Sykes wrote a post for The Royalist, a royal news site, called "William is King in all but name after orchestrating Andrew's disgrace." Sykes said, "People close to William have told the Royalists that the heir to the throne organized Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's eviction from Royal Lodge because he saw his father's indecision and weakness on the issue." One person said, "Charles has been trying and failing to evict Andrew from Royal Lodge for the past 3 years. William did it in 2 weeks. William is the king in practice, even if he doesn't have the title." Since the news that King Charles had cancer in early 2024, the transfer of power has been speeding up. People are worried about the king's health and whether he can handle the various problems facing the monarchy. This has led to a natural transfer of power to his successor. There is a lot of evidence that William was unhappy with how his father ran the family. It is said that he was furious with Charles for trying to help Andrew, which included forcing William and Kate to take Andrew to church in Balmoral in 2023, and including him and Sarah Ferguson in the Christmas Day photo opportunity at Sandringham. Andrew's decision to exclude Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from the royal family now casts a dark shadow over them in Montecito. Analysts say that, because a monarch has already taken away not just ducal titles but also the title of Prince, it is inevitable that the Sussexes and their children Archie and Lilibet will have the same thing happen to them. William believes that Harry, whom he calls a traitor, should be sent out of the country for good, a dangerous example or necessary action. While several individuals have lauded the measure as crucial for institutional self-preservation, others have articulated considerable concerns. Some people think that taking away a hereditary title without a criminal conviction is a dangerous move that goes against the basic ideals of the monarchy. He must be put in jail. Period. One commentator remarked, which is a common sentiment. Still others called for caution. Peter Hitchens said in the Mail on Sunday that the idea of innocent until proven guilty is still valid. He denies the accusations against him, and there is no proof, Hitchens added. I believe that the idea that someone is innocent until proven guilty is a key part of our society, and I don't think it is being followed. I am not supporting him, but I don't like how this issue is becoming worse. Harvey Proctor, a victim of a fake police investigation, said the same thing. By taking away Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's titles, the establishment has hurt the integrity of our justice system. Andrew has never been tried, yet he is assumed to be guilty until proven innocent. The dispute went on TV. This sets a very dangerous precedent, MP Miriam Cates said on GB News. Titles are either passed down through bloodlines or they aren't. I think this might be the end of the monarchy. Alex Armstrong, who was on the panel with her, firmly disagreed. I think this has Prince William's unmistakable mark on it. He is the next king of our country, and Andrew is ruining its image. I'm glad to see that our monarchy has gotten back some power. William's team saw the long-running 15-year public relations disaster, which ended with the infamous 2019 Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis, as proof that the narrative was unwinnable. Andrew's excuses, such his anhydrosis and his claim that he was at a Pizza Express in Woking, were laughed at throughout the world and decided his fate in the court of public opinion. The fact that new revelations may come out at any time definitely had an effect on the situation. Daphne Barak, a journalist, says she has a lot of private messages from Jeffrey Epstein that she hasn't shared with anybody else. This proves that the palace is quite worried. The palace got in touch with at least one of the two magazines I work with and asked, "What other information does Daphne have and what new information is coming out?" "We have a lot more," Barak replied. There were more than one or two emails between Sarah Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. We observed around 100 emails that had to do with money. A monarchy under attack. The expansive cultural conflict. This royal crisis is happening at the same time as a bigger cultural and political onslaught on the monarchy. The Marxist media, which has always been against the monarchy, has taken advantage of the disturbance. A recent cover of the New Statesman magazine is considered as a direct attack on the monarchy's future, with Prince William as the main target. In a related podcast, the magazine's deputy editor, Will Lloyd, said that the heir to the throne is functionally illiterate, adding, "William is not an avid reader. He prefers to be briefed orally." Will we have a monarch who can't read or doesn't want to? Connor Tomlinson, a political expert, thought this was a desperate and very angry attack. Tomlinson stated, "To say that William is a fool who can't read is a huge understatement of his skills. Trust me, this person is really smart. He knows how the system works and thinks he knows what to do to keep the monarchy safe. Tomlinson argues that the monarchy's refusal to act as a sovereign power is what really threatens it. He says that King Charles's attempts to be a great unifier and defender of all faiths have not worked to calm either the growing Republican movement on the left or the large number of immigrant-descended communities who do not support the House of Windsor. Tomlinson stated, if they don't meet the needs of that group, and at the same time don't use their sovereign decision-making power, they are trying to please both sides without getting any support. I think that in the end, the House of Windsor may have to step down for the British monarchy to stay as an institution. Activist groups like Republic and what some call left-wing Islamists in politics are making this Republican mood stronger. They viewed the monarchy's weakness as an opportunity to achieve their own goals. The elite's hypocrisy. From Westminster to Windsor. The royal drama isn't the only thing that's making the British people less tolerant. In politics, there is also a story going on about the hypocrisy and corruption of the elite, which makes people lose trust in the country's institutions even more. Rachel Reeves. The Chancellor of the Exchequer is in a bad situation because she can't secure the right license for a rental property she owns. Her critics call her Rachel from Accounts. After she first said she didn't know emails found by her husband showed that their estate agent had truly offered to acquire the license for them. This meant that he had to write to Prime Minister Keir Starmer again, which was humiliating. Starmer, who seemed quite annoyed, stated in his answer, "It is undeniably unfortunate that you did not tell me this information when you contacted me last night. It would have been better if you and your husband had carefully gone over all email correspondence." Starmer eventually decided that no further action was needed, but opponents have not let up, pointing out the hypocrisy of a Labour Party that, while in opposition, aggressively went after Conservative ministers for far smaller offences. "How can she keep going? I'm posted by Adam Brooks, a pundit. She should have been fired. She should have quit in the worst possible way. But this is Labour, a party that makes the Conservatives seem good. This government is incredibly dishonest." The reaction of media figures like LBC's James O'Brien, who downplayed the anger, made the apparent double standard more clearer. O'Brien added on his show, "I don't think anyone can convincingly say that this is anything but a sincere mistake, putting it in the context of the problems that Boris Johnson had as Prime Minister." Critics, on the other hand, pointed out that O'Brien and others had been talking about Boris and cake nonstop for months and were suddenly defending the new government. Connor Tomlinson remarked that the event is a sign of a bigger problem. He added, "If it were you or me, Dan, we would be seen as having broken the law even if we made an honest mistake. These harsh regulations are meant to take every last cent from hard-working Britons." He also said that the fact that both Reeves and Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner have been involved in property-related controversies shows how hard it is to live in the UK, especially for those in positions of authority. A sad country. An elite in mockery. Recent occurrences that have made many people angry and sad have made it clear that there is a huge gap between the ruling class and the ordinary public. The murder of Wayne Broadhurst, a well-liked local man who was stabbed to death in West London by an illegal Afghan immigrant, has become a hot topic. The story hasn't gotten much attention from the mainstream media, and it's been surprising that well-known people like London Mayor Sadiq Khan haven't said anything about it. Peter Lloyd, a journalist, observed, 72 hours have passed. Sadiq Khan has written 3 postings on Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica, but he hasn't said anything about Wayne Broadhurst's death in London. In the middle of all this public sadness, many people saw a social media post by socialist commentator Narinder Kaur as a planned and cruel insult. For Halloween, Kaur posted a picture of herself in whiteface, wearing a zombie-themed costume with an England flag on it and the comment, "Happy Halloween, flag shaggers. Stop being so sensitive. I am honoring you." Many people called the conduct hypocritical, since the person who did it regularly blames others for being insensitive to different cultures. One critic remarked, "She is provoking us at a time when many people are upset because the mainstream media and elite class don't know much about what happened with Wayne." Critics say that this instance is a sign of a larger trend in which the upper class appears to enjoy the country's demise. Ahmed Yaqub, an Islamist activist, called for Muslims throughout the UK to come to Birmingham for a complete shutdown in protest of a football match between Aston Villa and a team from Tel Aviv. This made the problem even more clear. These people are not calm. They want to be in charge, observed one witness. At the same time, pictures of male migrants staying in hotels at taxpayers' expense and enjoying hot meals as staff close the curtains to keep them out of sight continue to circulate online, making people feel even more unjust. After Elon Musk tweeted that civil war in Britain is inevitable, former MP Rory Stewart replied, "No, it isn't. The Britain you see on your phone is not Britain." Critics said that Stewart and others like him are out of touch with the lives of millions of people living in Britain right now. The Southport Inquiry, a call for responsibility. The ongoing inquiry into the Southport disaster shows the most clearly how elite protectionism and the public's demand for justice are at odds. Many people have said from the start that the terrorist attack in which Axel Rudakubana stabbed 3 young girls to death during a dance class was a cover-up. The inquiry is finding disturbing material about how Rudakubana's parents, Alon's and Letitia, are said to have obstructed authorities and hidden their son's malevolent disposition. Connor Tomlinson has strongly called for the parents' deportation in his Substack newsletter. Tomlinson stated, "Axel Rudakubana's parents paid back our country's kindness by raising a child who commits violence against white people. They should be punished for being bad parents and sent back to Rwanda." Tomlinson cites evidence from the investigation showing that when Axel broke a student's wrist at his old school, his father Alon's begged a social worker for a high degree of confidentiality, asking them not to record or share certain information that could destabilize our family. He also specifically asked that the youth offending team not get involved. Joanne Hodson, the head teacher, called Axel cold and calculating and sinister. But social workers told her not to use such words in her report because they thought they were racial profiling of a black boy with a knife. Tomlinson stated, "If we had followed these weak institutional standards of racism more closely, those girls would still be alive." Axel's family was against government intrusion at every turn. They sought to hide his evil nature from the public and the police. The inquiry finds a family that knew their kid was on a dangerous road but tried to hide it on purpose. Tomlinson says that the parents' lack of responsibility and the fact that they were ungrateful to the country that gave them shelter are reasons for their quick deportation. The news that the parents are now in a witness protection program paid for the taxpayers has made many even more angry. Conclusion. The start of a new time. The ejection of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor means more than only the end of a disgraceful chapter in royal history. This is the formal announcement of a new monarchy, the monarchy of King William V, save for the title. He has made his plans clear in a way that is both brutal and strategic, unlike his father. He has cauterized a wound that might have become infected and put the monarchy in danger with one quick move. But by doing this, he has put himself in a lot of danger. By breaking with hundreds of years of tradition, he has opened up a lot of questions about what a hereditary institution really is. He has given his opponents on the Republican left a strong argument: if titles aren't sacred and can be taken away for bad behavior, what's the point of having them? Prince William is currently leading the monarchy through a hard time marked by problems inside the royal family, problems with foreign politics, and a major loss of faith among the British people. The first most important step was what he did to Andrew. The next challenges, dealing with Harry and Meghan navigating the dangerous environment of a deeply divided country and rebuilding the monarchy for a new era, will determine whether he is regarded as its rescuer or as the king who oversaw its inevitable destruction. The House of Windsor has a new king, and it is now his job to protect the kingdom. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.